Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Judith Blackall. I'm Head of Artistic Programs here at the Museum of Contemporary Art, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce this afternoon session titled Wasted Time and the Process of Emancipation with French artist Sylvie Blocher and architect and urban designer François Daune. Sylvie Blocher's work was first shown at the MCA almost 10 years ago in an exhibition for the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games called Sporting Life. Sylvie's work in that exhibition, titled Are You a Masterpiece?, comprised a multi-video screen installation featuring members of the Tigers football club. Now the Tigers are from Princeton in the US. Sylvie asked the players to face the camera wearing their team uniforms with their protective headgear, mouth guards, shoulder pads, and the artist asked the players quite personal questions about their views on art, on beauty, the sublime, scale and proportion, taste, gods, power and money. In the exhibition, which was curated by Rachel Kent, it was moving to see these bulked-up guys looking directly at us, the audience, with their eyes clear and soft behind so much protective headgear, declaring, I am meat. It is one of her works in an ongoing video series called Living Pictures, which she has been working on since 1992. So when we in C3 West started thinking about artists for the project in Western Sydney and our business partners, the Panthers Entertainment Group, we naturally thought of Sylvie Blocher. Sylvie is one of France's best-known multimedia artists. She produces film and video installations which explore the concepts of otherness, representation, and art's political responsibility. In her work with people, her ongoing series, Living Pictures, she importantly considers the work a collaboration, a co-authorship between artist and subject. Sylvie Blocher's work encourages different ways of viewing and understanding the world. In 1995, the Pompidou Centre held a major exhibition of her work, and she has since exhibited at the Venice Biennale in 2003 in the section curated by Hu Han Ru, Zones of Urgency. She's also exhibited at the Casino in Luxembourg, at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art and Regina in Canada in 2008, and her latest work, A More Perfect Day, is currently on show at the 10th Biennale of Lyon. Next to Sylvie is François Daune, an architect and urban planner who specializes in working on the peripheries and suburbs of some of Europe's major cities. He has also worked in Latin America on a number of projects in Brazil for ICOMOS on the renewal of housing in historical centers. In his projects and public housing works, it's important to note that François always consults and includes the inhabitants of the public housing that he's working with. François also lectures at an architecture school in Paris and currently teaches at a Master of Urbanism for Urban Projects at a university in Paris. So Sylvie Blocher and François Daune founded the collaborative art and social action group Campement Urbain in 1997. Campement Urbain is a collective of professionals which changes form and members according to the project, and has included a sociologist, a graphic designer, landscape designer, as well as Sylvie, a visual artist, and François, an architect. It is based in Saint-Denis on the outskirts of Paris. Campement Urbain was awarded the Evans Foundation International Prize for Art and Community Collaboration in 2002. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Sylvie to the lectern.
Thank you very much, Judith. Thank you for the people for the symposium who invite us today, and the MCA and the Panthers and everybody. And okay, as you've seen, my English is awful, so you have to work on it with me. Okay, so So I'm going to show you two projects who are a little different, but perhaps it was interesting to begin with this project why we received this prize, Art Community Collaboration. It's called I and Us. Can I have the second image, please? I want to read the text. The intent of Campement Urbain is to create it within an area of great urban tension, Sevran, France. This is near the airport Charles de Gaulle, a special place available to all and under the protection of everyone. A place that is useless, extremely fragile and non-productive. A place open to everyone, where everyone can come alone. A place to sample the attraction of solitude. A place where people can stay away from the community under the protection of the community. A place of nothingness where you are with yourself, where you can think about yourself within yourself. I and Us, a spiritual place removed from any religious, what we called a new public space. We win this prize with this program, and when we won, we had to do it. This was the beginning of all this situation. So I want to speak today about wasting time. So I brought two videos. One video is about I and Us. It's 3 hours video, and I compressed it in 10 minutes, which was a nightmare. But I hope it will give you an idea about how it was going on. So I just proposed to... Okay. It's not in English, but I translated some of the text. Yes. I will tell you with Tim after. This is the mayor of the city of Sevran, the poorest city in France where we make the project. Can you put the sound up? We brought this project in the Venice Biennale. To answer the question of this morning with Tijuana, we brought this project after 6 months in the Venice Biennale. It changed completely the project in the area for the people of the area. From one moment, they became very important. We make a donation there. That means we propose to the people to buy a little glass where it was written on it, who decides for beauty. And people bought this glass, and we receive a lot of money. And with this money, we pay a lot of plane ticket for these inhabitants who never went out of their city, to go to the Venice Biennale, to look at themselves on the video screen. I make a film with 100 inhabitants. I have asked them to write something they usually keep under secret, and I have printed on a t-shirt, and I have just asked them to come in front of the camera and to have the courage to be with their t-shirt. So you see the people here in our meetings every week. They came during 3 years. She speaks about how she wants to see how this object, this place of the solitude could be.
C'était de dire ça sera peut-être à un moment donné le seul espace d'un quartier de sécurité. Donc c'est vrai qu'on ne va pas régler ça comme ça très très rapidement. La question d'une inscription ou d'une forme d'association, on serait adhérent, voilà, pour simplifier les choses. Effectivement, elle pose la question de l'ouverture. Est-ce que c'est encore un espace public si on est adhérent?
Comme ça.
You see the people who began to design these objects.
Voilà, avec une entrée comme ça. Et tout autour, tu aurais un bassin.
Donc moi je pensais à un rond qui me rappelait un peu un globe terrestre.
Everybody comes to give his idea.
Là on parle du paradis, Momo a parlé d'église tout à l'heure. Je crois qu'il y a quand même une chose où il faut être vigilant, c'est vraiment s'accrocher au laïc quand même.
Puis quelqu'un, du coup, François avait dit comme ça avec ça. Enfin, non mais on refait pas la discussion de la dernière fois.
C'était le jardin.
C'était le jardin. Donc en fait, le jardin serait considéré comme une salle d'attente, c'est ça?
Hein?
Donc en fait, les jardins, on pourrait considérer
Tu
comme
peux
une salle
dire ça
d'attente.
comme ça.
Et Alice, j'étais pas là la dernière fois. Oui, il fallait des précisions par rapport au cadrage. j'ai retenu qu'on ne verrait que le ciel.
Il est d'une part, effectivement, d'avoir une concession du domaine public pour faire ce truc-là.
Ça, c'est
oui, non, mais c'est un premier problème.
Pourquoi c'est pas bon?
Parce que ça serait trop simple.
Non, parce que ça
pourrait être rond, mais c'est sans angle, c'est pas le motif.
Il n'y a pas d'angle. Montre-moi, Lisa. On va montrer. Ouais. Comme ça. Comme ça.
Et puis alors, on s'arrête au montant de la porte.
Donc, de modulable selon le corps, disons. Peut-être avec des hauteurs différentes aussi, pour, si on veut, je veux dire, se rapprocher du ciel, avec cette idée-là.
She speaks about the different size, the different colors. There are different communities and they don't have the same taste. So they fight in a way. There you see the first drawings with very different shapes. What is a place of solitude?
Enfin, moi, je vois ça en forme inhabituelle.
Moi, j'ai bien apprécié l'autre, la maison dans la maison.
Moi j'aime bien l'histoire de la,
oui, que ça soit
l'histoire de la maison dans la maison, mais c'est beau ça. Et ça j'aime bien aussi, parce que c'est complètement en décalé,
And nobody agrees.
En déséquilibre. J'aime bien ce genre de choses. Alors attendez.
Les formes modernes,
But everybody agrees that it should be suspended in the sky, which is very easy to do. I mean, it's like...
Dans l'espace, etc. C'est bien sûr les techniques et les capsules spatiales avec des gens qui sont seuls dedans quelques jours, quelques heures. Alors pour complètement d'autres logiques, mais en même temps, quand on a réfléchi par rapport à tout ce qui avait été décrit, notamment les petites fenêtres.
So this is almost after 1 year and a half, 2 years. I want to show you that because we go out of the place to try to find a place where we could put this object.
Souvent il y a des voitures brûlées par là, souvent il y a des, je sais pas.
Et il y a moins de monde qui passe.
They are afraid.
Et c'est neutre. C'est ça le problème. Je vous dis tout à l'heure, c'est neutre.
They say we want a neutral place because we are afraid. A lot of places make us afraid. But nobody knows what is a neutral place. Neutral place. I have shown you this little moment because then, that evening, the mafia arrived and began to... 35 ans, vous êtes là, 30 ans, 20 ans, j'en sais rien.
32 ans.
32 ans. On dit de nous faire peur. Qu'est-ce que vous voulez nous dire pour là-bas? Yes. The mafia came to say, you can't come here. Oui.
And
we are in front of this guy. Alors pourquoi vous pouvez argumenter pour que nous... He don't want me to take my camera to look at him. So the atmosphere began to change in the community. They were afraid. Threatened after 2 years working on this project.
Nous avons donc choisi 3 lieux possibles, la plaine des Cèdres, le square des
We have
Instituteurs, le
choose
jardin
3
des Fontaines.
places, he
J'ai repris
says.
le compte-rendu précieux de la précieuse Josette.
Okay, he makes security, appropriation. He tried to change all this fear in something else. This is our youngest participant.
C'est un endroit paisible.
He said, I want a place where
Il est bien
paisible,
protégé, il y a des grilles autour et
peaceful.
c'est grand.
Voilà. Donc je n'en choisis aucun.
She said, I don't choose any of them.
Non, parce qu'en fait, c'est comme si je devais choisir entre le confort.
Because I always have to choose between comfort, between a political position, and between and the constraint. And I can't choose between these things. You can't ask me to choose. So we began to work with all the schools of the area, which means a lot of young people, to ask them to design a new public space at this question of solitude. And we work from 12 years old to 18. It's about 1,000 young people. Then the TV arrived, the national TV, to think what they are doing, what is this abstract project about a place of solitude in a very difficult area.
En général, c'est pour les intellectuels.
Okay, solitude is reserved for the intellectual.
Les personnes qui ne sont pas intellectuelles ne pensent pas beaucoup. On pense à leur place.
The people who are not intellectual has not the right to think.
De solitude chez moi.
We have place of solitude in Africa.
On m'a demandé comment je l'imaginais.
They asked me how I could see this place.
Peut-être l'une de celles qui a le plus de mal à être concrète.
I'm one of these.
Répondu un nuage.
I have said I'm very abstract. I say I want a cloud, and nobody began to laugh at me.
Parce que j'ai eu l'impression que tout le monde avait un peu la même idée.
Okay, they take me very serious, and I see that the other one has the same idea to put it hanging.
Mais aussi beaucoup dans la sensation, dans le ressenti.
Okay, they leave us to have our own sensation. So you see the place where we are going to put it. We couldn't go inside the area, we have to go on the borderline of the area. You see the space of solitude, how it looks, the project. A very long way before you come in this little space, 5 square meters. 5 square meters. And then it will be a garden around it. And there was so we created a new job, which is called the Gardien de Solitude. The Keeper of Solitude, and we asked the Council of Europe to create a new job. There we make a simulation in the city because nobody was really agree with the size. So now you see all the very important partners in France. DRAC, the region, the foundation, the mayor, one of the inhabitants, the social representative, the Caisse des dépôts et consignations. All these very important people arrived. And this is the inhabitants threw us out because they began to take the power and they decided to make their association, which was a good result of our work. This is the beginnings of form. We can stop here. Okay. I thought it was not. Oh, okay. Thank you. The mayor of the city, who is the youngest mayor of France, gave us the ground. So we begin in 2002. In 2003, we went in the Venice Biennale. We went again in the Venice Biennale in 2005 because we thought all these people in this area near Charles de Gaulle is packed with all the immigrants of France who are used like, really bad workers. They have most of the time no paper, no rights. It's very difficult for the women, for the homosexual, for all these people. And for us, the question of building a place of solitude is just to face your own solitude, to face the idea of otherness. That means difficult to like the other one if you don't like yourself, if you are just an object and not a subject. And it was also very important for us that everybody sees them going to this place of solitude and accept it, and that they accept that they can go there and go out of their community. It's still not built. It's going to be built, but after these 3 years working with the community, the Minister of Culture asked me to come because we make a lot of other shows around this project because we are convinced that in this very difficult area, you have to take them and to bring them in other areas. We were talking this morning, I don't remember the terms, but when we brought that from the local place to the international place of the Venice Biennale, and all these inhabitants know that all these people come to see them, they begin to speak about their proudness and about another way to think about them. And then when the TV came, it was very interesting how they say, we don't want the TV, they always distract what we do, what everybody does. They make communication. And then they work before the TV came to choose their words, to be very precise what they want to say, what they want to communicate. Okay, so first project. So I hope it gives you an atmosphere about how we work on it. And to finish, we didn't have enough money. So the worst part of this project is to find the money. We have amount of money given by the Belgium Foundation who gave us the prize, but it was not enough. And what is terrible is our Minister of Culture, not this one, but another one, because we have a lot of them, one after the other one. So a former one asked me to come, and because I have made a kind of little, how do you say, aesthetic or artistic scandal, that say I can push them, so he says, Sylvie Blocher, how much do you want? And I say him the price, I need to have this, and he said, I give you exactly directly, I put you a check in front of you, but you don't put this thing in this area. So I say, okay, keep your check. So it's like, you know, it's very difficult to convince everybody that we can do that in this place. But I'm just interested about what is displaced. So, okay, how long I have? It's okay? I want to read a few, okay, sorry. We use in Campement Urbain a special process that we call in French le dispositif. It could be translated in English by the word device. The device is how to construct a fiction, an urban fiction. With this process, we work with communities here in Sevran. It is in the beginning the things that people say are always very, very conventional because they are under the social control. It takes a very, very long time that their words begin to be more singular, more active. It takes a very, very long time for them to recover their proudness. It takes a very, very long time to address the other one and to face the other one. It takes a very, very long time for them to take place, to construct themselves like subject and not like objects. In this process, when a decision has to be taken, it is not by a vote, but convincing the others. So you can imagine why it's very long. This moment is very important because it doesn't create it for us a minority. We call this relation to the time temps dilapidé, wasted time, in a time where nobody wants to lose any time. This process of wasting time helps everybody to take place rather to be recovered by his community. This process of wasting time helps to be an actor rather than a consumer. In this sense, what we want to say is that the process is as important that the object is produced at the end. The exercise of solitude allowed to face the question of otherness, especially in such an area where the community fight with each other. The work is to allow the singularity of each one, try to let them going on their real desire and not of the one constructed by publicity. Okay, I think it's clear, I hope. The second thing is the Panther of the future of the Panthers. I jump from one thing to another one, sorry, and it's a little different project. So the second project, I want to tell how it was because it was so funny. Okay, it's a very, very long time. 2003, you came at the Venice Biennale, there was a proposition of Rachel, of Judith, of you, Lisanne, and you asked me if I want to be in a CCUS project. So I must say now we are in 2009, so it's quite far. And so when I arrived here, they decided to present me 3 trades. To be very honest, the first trade was a French one. They were awful. Really arrogant, you know, as French people can be. They don't speak English and they're arrogant. So I couldn't stay with them, and they have all this brown costume, and oh, it was terrible. So the second thing, they brought me in the hospital for mental disease. I was very impressed, but I'm so afraid to have mental disease myself every day. So I thought if I'm going to work here, I'm going to die. So, and I'm not enough strong to face, I'm not enough good artist to face that. And then I went to the Panthers, and I must say, they are the opposite of me. I'm not sportive, okay. So I arrive, and I see Max Cohen, and he was so shy, and I was so shy because I thought, what are we doing here? And I have this guy who thinks these girls even don't know what is union and league, you know, so your big union, your big league, and all these things. So I was like, and I see this big guy, like, and he said, okay, I don't know exactly what you can do, and I say, I don't know. And I just say, I would like to work about pain. So this was our first words. I mean, they are heroes, and you see these girls, French girl, arrogant, who say, I want to work about pain. Can I go to the lockers inside when they just come out of the match and they take their, and it hurts, and, okay, this was the beginning of the conversation. He said, I'm not sure, and you know, we are heroes, and blah, blah, blah. So after that, he begins to talk to me about this unbelievable story. Is how works the Panthers, means how they build it after the First World War, how they divide their money between they make money, of course, with a poker machine, but then the money is cut in two, and half go to the community for education, medical, and art, and the other part go to the players. So it was so interesting to listen to him, because it was like, for me, like a political program. And I don't know why, we met us twice, the second time in a cafe, and I said to Max Cohen, are you sure you don't have problem with your board? And he said, why do you ask me that? I said, because we are in a time where everybody is very capitalist, all the team are private, so you look a little strange in this landscape. And I say to him, you want me to refix your utopia, which that means nothing. But for me, it was like to open a door on this unbelievable way of dealing with sports. So I came here and I shot a video with inhabitants of the city, and this video will be shown in my next show. Nobody has seen it yet. So I put people in front of my camera and I work with them. Still, they do something they don't really do usually. And Max was also very brave to come in front of the camera. So I have seen a lot of people of this city, and I have used this process to ask many questions about the suburbs. I live actually myself in the suburbs, and when you are in the suburbs, the people find them always a little less than the people who are in the capital. They always have the impression there is missing something. So with this informations, I have understood that there is a big, okay, you don't like the word, but a big hate between the city and the Panthers. I meet like, okay, in my tale I say a bad couple who have no sex anymore. So okay, so I use all this information, and I thought, I can't say that in public, because of course it never works. You know, when you say you can't, it doesn't work. So I thought, I'm going to take a tale, the process of a tale, you know, a fairy tale. You say what you want, but you give other names. So everybody knows what you are talking about, but everybody is protected. So I want to show you, so it's 1 hour and 15 minutes, so I compress it in 10 minutes, but it gives you an idea. Okay, thank you. This is in English.
Tale for adults. Once upon a time, at the other end of the world was a land.
It was such a big land that it covered part of the ocean and threw a shadow over the sun. South of this land, at the other end of the world, was a big, large and open city with a magnificent pearly music box hanging over the entrance of the harbor like a bird flying off. The citizens of this beautiful, wide, big and open city thought there shouldn't be other wide, big and open towns around them, especially not to the west, because in the west, apparently, were also poor people.
Okay, so then is completely the tale, and this is the end of the tale.
Then another little girl that had a really really, really not been invited, said out loud while laughing.
Could you mix culture and profit?
Could you make a university for old people? Could you invent a local television station for everyone to speak? Could you make curves? Could you link the river to the big and empty ground and the big and empty ground to downtown by the means of a great illuminated road? Could you build a new neighborhood where we don't need cars? Could you do better than Darling Harbour? Could you build buildings hanging from the sky in order to see the pink mountain? Could you make us be noticed from far away? Could you build houses in which we could live in without any petrol, nauseous liquid? Could you open little nice night shops? Could you make vertical gardens? Could you make a free center for students in trouble? Could you rearrange the rules for opening doors? Could you forbid coffee in soft plastic cups? Could you create a center to defend consumers? Could you become more social and more welcoming? Could you put up flowered wallpaper on the Penrith tax building? Could you invent new sports? Could you learn how to teach desire to your children? Could you make beautiful public spaces to parade in the sun? Could you invent new ways to be together? Could you encourage citizens to gather in associations? Could you make a beautiful and free internet cafe for the teenagers to discover the rest of the world? Could you make dancing halls for me to invite my lover? Could you stop talking about profit and money for 1 hour a day? Could you help stitch up the ozone hole above our heads? Could you love children more than cars? Could you make nice buildings for nice companies? Could you create the International Convention Center? Could you make greenhouses for rare plants? Could you replace money machines by funny and intelligent entertainments? Could you have lotteries on lawns? Could you stop thinking that you're not as good as those from the big city? Could you think that you have other skills? Could you make nice tracks for the rolling wooden boards? Could you create the International Grand Prize for Ecological Discoveries? Could you look for a real name for this place? Could you make suggestions to the university? Could you have a day per year where we would eat out on the streets with our neighbors? Could you rehabilitate culture? Could you reconcile culture with the market? Could you build the most interesting art school in the country? Could you install scopitones for the teenagers? Could you learn the language of birds? Could you convince your financial partners to be creative? Could you stop thinking that the art center can solve everything? Could you invent new community rituals? Could you stop justifying yourself by saying that you are a young country? Could you look for your own desires instead of the ones invented for you by commercials? Could you stop believing that Michael Friedman holds the only economical truth? Could you dream of being a society rather than a market? Could you mix European charm with American functionalism? Could you move jobs rather than the people? Could you start dreaming again? Could you make a place that doesn't look like your neighbors? Could you have people walk? Could you invent collective barbecues? Could you make a beach by the river? Could you become exceptional? Could you invent the future?
If I understand things correctly, you could make of this place a city, the first urban West city.
Penrith, that remains a magnificent region with its beautiful Daune River at the bottom of the Blue Mountains, is not just a perfect expansion potential for Sydney. Penrith, instead of staying submissive, can become a singular city, can reinforce its identity, can dialogue with the other towns of the metropolitan urban area, and be proud of its originality. Why remain in dormitory cities made of identical boxes, always selling the same brand? Why have styleless coffee shops in streets that are empty at night when people come back by train from work? Why, when there is so much time to waste in front of poker machines, do we eat standing up in fast food chains? Why do we continue driving alone in our cars and give more room to cars than to humans? How do we attract new citizens, jobs? How do we become a regional center, giving room to kids and teenagers? How do we acquire an authority in the metropolitan area and imagine the future? How can we make people want to live in Penrith? We believe that this law is a great opportunity for the city of Penrith, a new form of town in nature. A green city, a landscape city, an ecological city. A new geography in which streets are valleys, canyons or rivers, in which roofs are hills, gardens or promenades, in which activities, shops and entertainment centers are caves, in which gatherings of buildings are islands and lagoons, linked to bridges, seawalls, and sometimes boats. Cars will be parked under hills and outskirts and will be used only from time to time to get home or to go to the Blue Mountains or for coming from away. Living, working, having fun, having walks in this varied environment will be a rich experience. This territory will mix residents, workers, directors, but also shopkeepers, kids, students, young and old, retired, strollers, visitors of the Panthers entertainment space. This territory is connected to the rest of the city by extending the center near the park and the river. These activities must reinforce those already existing in the city. Those who will come from Sydney to work here will later be able to take a tram from the station. Built by invitation by the best Australian and international architects, the buildings will be extraordinary. They will be built in a landscape of hills, valleys and waterways as unique objects, with points of view onto the landscape, allotting for public squares and gardens, and for room in the sky for clouds, the wind and the stars. Highly effective, they will use new technologies to consume and pollute less. Some are covered with earth and grass in order to protect themselves from the heat and to extend the landscape. They gather rainwater and can produce energy. Aesthetically and functionally new. They offer innovating housing, positive workspaces, and new forms of consumption. They participate in making Penrith an attraction that people would come to see from far away, a place where people dream to live in. They are the laboratories of a new form of urban life, closer to nature, ecologically responsible, where economical performance and social life are associated. The Sydney Opera transformed the city of Sydney, and its fame is worldwide. It can be seen from far away and creates desire. Everything surrounding it gains value and is desired locally, nationally, and internationally. We must plan the future in Panthers space with the same elegance and the same ambition.
Okay, thank you. You can stop. Okay. So these few images give you a little bit what we have tried to do with Campement Urbain. We began with this meeting, and we ended with the Panthers and the city about the future. We have done that since 1 year. Yesterday, the city asked us to come back. It takes also for them and for us a very, very long time to know if we can do something together. That means just to be a think tank. I mean, producing, coming from outside, and we don't have any judgment. We just see things, and they are in a moment in Panthers where they have to decide it for really for the future of their city. If they stay like a city just with a station, a mall, and an art space, or if they can invent something completely different. And I think you are, for me, the country who could be the most avant-garde in the world, because in a way you try the British way, then you try the American way, and in a way you never try your way. And it's not really a bad judgment, but I think you can really be a place to be very creative. It just takes time, wasted time. So I just want to present you, so normally Campement Urbain is a very open group for each project. If somebody is very interesting to come to work with us, we open the group. So Tim Williams, who is a pure Australian, it's not really true. We knew him. François worked with him a few years ago in Paris, in a quite famous agency of architecture. And I think we could really work together. So he will join us for this project. And we don't know if it's going on or not. We go step by steps, but I think it would be completely unbelievable to begin with a very basic art project about pain, and to arrive to a stage where a city and the Panthers will say, okay, you sit down with us and we talk. And it's not easy. But it goes with just it goes, of course, with the individuals. We talk about that tomorrow. I think you must find people who are clever, brilliant, and who are in love. Because they are not in love, they are dead. And you have a lot of dead people who are walking in the street. So it's very important to have these people, not in the art scene, but somewhere else. I mean, in the museums, in the state, and these people are important because, as Craig Butler says this morning, if you are, for example, director of an urban section in a city, you can your decision makes a decision for thousands of people. If you decide that a motorway is going to cross your city, okay, you decide that thousands of people will have the motorway in the middle of their bedrooms. And this for years, so I think this is a very important moment. For example, for Penrith, perhaps he will not go with us, with somebody else, but I think it's very interesting when the artists arrive, and perhaps I think I'm an optimistic, pessimistic. That means we can give up. I think the artists are just here to push. And this, for me, it's enormous, really enormous.
So thank you, Sylvie. Thank you, François, for being here. As you can sense, it's a very visionary project, very ambitious. It's hugely exciting, and we sincerely hope it will go ahead. In any case, next year in February, there'll be an exhibition of Sylvie's work here at the MCA and also contemporaneously in Penrith at the Penrith Regional Gallery and Lewis Bequest. So you can see Sylvie and Campement Urbain's work in both contexts, and that will be certainly something to look forward to. I'm afraid I don't think we have time for any questions. Oh, we do? Okay, well, a few questions, one or two. Well, there's one over here. If we could have a microphone.
Thanks for that. Just to do with the first project, I was a little disappointed because it seems to me that you gave a lot of people in the area a dream, and that dream hasn't come true, and it could be seen that you've offered them a utopia and then disappointed them, and I'm interested to hear your comment on that.
It will be built in the beginning of the next year.
Yeah. Now we are in the time we are in the constellation of the companies who can build it, but it's very, very difficult to find the money, and it's also very difficult because the object is not in a way a building, it's an artwork, but an artwork could be inhabited by people, and at this time it's began a building, and it's very, very difficult to find a good way with reglementation to do it, but we spend a lot of time about that. But in fact, one of the big difficulties of this project is passing through utopia to the project. And in a way, it's very comfortable for everybody to be in the utopia. And it's began to be more difficult 2 or 3 years before, when the projects began to be real in a way. That if everybody understands that the process is not just to be together and to have a sort of work of imagination, it's also producing this object and find a way to use it, and also find a way to have a regulation about its use. How many people can stay to go inside? How many times you have to go inside? What happens if someone is very violent for the others, and so on? It's an open space in a way, and we have to find a way to regulate all these things, and it was sometimes very difficult for the inhabitants to accept also, for example, that they have to do an association to have the power on this object.
I admire your aims, but my question is more about, you have a vision, are you bringing those people with you in that vision, and is this the right process to work with people?
Yes, I think it's the opposite. I mean, we arrive with the question, is it possible to make a place of solitude? All these communities came and began to speak about solitude. This takes months. We didn't come to say it should be like that, like that, like that, like that. It's why it takes 3.5 years. That means, what does mean solitude for an African woman or for an Asian woman, and what kind of space it could be. For us, in the beginning, it's true, you're right, the process was more important. I mean, how the people can begin to speak, how the women take the time to come. In the beginning, we have no women because it was a time where they have to cook at home. Then they decided to stay there, and they have to deal with their husband, to have the time to come. And all these things for us was very important. It looks very small, but it's very important. Then how they can begin to talk in front of the other one and to give their ideas. And the girl who says, oh, I am more abstract than the other one day, nobody agreed during 2 years about the shape of this object. And we didn't want to say something, it had to come out of these discussions. And one day she stand up and she said, oh, it had to be suspended in the space. And I couldn't believe everybody from all the different cultures say, okay, this is right. So we were like piece of nothing, because François is an architect, say, how can we do that, suspending? And they turn at us and say, you are the architect, you are not going to bother us with your technical problems, you know? So we were like, we came back at home, like we have very terrible moments, because we say, what are we going to do? And then they continue, and the process goes more and more. And one day, and this I think was our first victory, the mayor of the city say, you know what? Your people begins to be very, very difficult. And I say, why? I say, every time the people who work with you, they come in the public meetings and they begin to talk. And for us, it was a big victory. That means he begins to have the right to think they can talk and ask things to their mayor. But after 2 years, of course, we understood that we have to build this space, or we are going to destruct all what we have done, because these people, they need to have the object. For us, perhaps we need to have just this process. So it's why, since the beginning, we fight to produce it. Now we have almost all the money. Now we are at the end of the process. We are going to build it. But then it's another story. They make an organization to look after this space, and of course all the politicians say, oh, it will be destroyed in 5 minutes. So they oblige us to take concrete, not 2 centimeters, but 10 centimeters, you know? And we couldn't go in the law for architecture, because they say it's not a building. Then they say it's not a piece of art, and nobody knows where to put us. But we take that in a very positive way, because it opens doors on questions of law, of other questions we can never talk about. So, and I don't know if in Paris we will go at the end, if the city and the Panthers will give us a place, but I hope so, and I hope we will fight and we will give our desire, we will agree and disagree, but it's the only way to produce something. I was very happy that Craig Butler talked this morning about dangerosity. You know, things has to be dangerous. Love is dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. And if we don't have that, we just have nothing. I'm sorry, I'm like this girl. I can't speak in another way, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Perhaps one more question? I think everyone's speechless, so thank you. Thank you, Sylvie and François, and thank you, everyone.